ワールドバーです。楽しんでいきましょう。
インターネットを照らす一筋の光、電子の海を漂うオタクに笑顔、未来の平和をお約束、そう打つだけど任せとけ。インターネットエンジェルただいま降臨。社会をやめろ、家族をやめろ、人間関係をやめろ。今すぐ薄暗い部屋で青白いライトを浴びろ。大丈夫、怖かったこと全部上書きするからね。現実よりもおかしくなりそうなほど情報型のインターネットを今助けてあげるよダーリンダーリン。嘘は外飛び抜けるし、この絵暴走しちゃうし、壊れてしまうけど考えなくていいんだよ、もうすぐ楽になるから脳内に乱反射するポイズンレ。
Alright. Hey people, welcome back to my stream, and we're gonna be starting Yua's route. A lot of things are jumbled up in my... Alright, okay, looks like we're good to go. Alright, let's get started with Yua's route. So, just like Nanami's route a while ago, we're gonna have to start a new game, so that's what we're gonna do. Again, skipping this. Okay, yes. 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 Alright, skipping this. Alright. Skip button is activated. So again, we're gonna have to go through every single one of these. This time the route branches in chapter 7, so this will take a long while. Alright, so this one I have to go for the neutral option, so
僕は引きこもりじゃ。
Sonome Narenome. Is it just a coincidence? No. I'm making it up. It's all in my head. No. The new Gen Killer is somewhere in this school. Yes. Whoever wrote this is trying to provoke me. Yes. I should definitely erase it. Yes.
なあ、どうしたんだ?
All right, here we go. So this is gonna be a long ass skip until, or you know, there might be some scenes in between. So we're gonna wait for new scenes. In the meantime, oh, here's the new one. Shibuya Station was a much different place in the early morning than it was later in that day. All right. Young people were scarce, and countless businessmen following a jarring ride on the crowded trains rushed out of the station and scattered every which way into Shibuya. It was a place marked by indolence, yet engulfed by an air of restlessness. The students of Sume Academy carried that with them as well. However, the number of them present was rather sparse. Shibuya Station was about 20 minutes away from Sume by foot, and on top of that, part of the route was up Trek Hill via Dogenzaga. Most Sume students taking the train would depart at the stop nearest to the academy, Shinsen Station. Kusunoki Yua, meanwhile, took the unnecessary task of walking from Shibuya Station. Waking up early for this did not cause any headaches for her. The heart of Shibuya was often suffocatingly crowded, but as soon as one began the climb up Dogensaka, the number of pedestrians dropped sharply. Taking the extra time to walk and breathe in the refreshing morning air was something Yua quite enjoyed. Part of the reason why she chose to walk from Shibuya Station was to see the news displayed on the jumbotrons above Scramble Crossing. As she waited for the pedestrian sign to change, Yua appeared up at Old Front's jumbotron just as she always did. And upon doing so, she gasped in shock. The captions running across the screen before her had taken her breath away. The headline read, "Third New Gen Incident." A certain boy's face rocketed to the forefront of her mind. A boy whom she did not know nor had ever spoken with. But it was a face she had seen the previous morning at school. Though for Yua, there was evidence enough to convince her that he was the true culprit behind New Generation Madness. Yua could recall the events of the previous morning vividly. Oh my god, I like her view is always shaky. Which means she is super delusional right now. 7 a.m. Sume Private Academy. Yua marched quickly through the empty halls. It seemed that no others had arrived yet. Her expression rigid, she gazed straight ahead without faltering. Without a hint of restraint in her stride, Yua advanced onward, stopping only once she arrived at a certain classroom. The sign which framed the room number read 2C. Following a quick gaze to confirm her destination, Yua slid the door open without hesitation. 2C was not her homeroom. As a third year, she should have no reason to even set foot in there. Absolutely no reason at all. That was how it would be, under normal circumstances at least. But right then, she had a specific goal in mind. After methodically scanning the empty classroom, Yua approached the blackboard. She perused the selection of chalk colors for a brief moment, before picking up a pristine white piece. Then, using intentionally poor handwriting, she wrote a single sentence on the blackboard. Sono me dare no mae. She whispered the words to herself after writing them. Gently placing the chalk back down, she surveyed the room once more. Her whispers continued, for nobody to hear but herself. Oh, that's what we did. In the silence of the empty classroom, her intimidating voice echoed. That is really delusional. Jesus Christ. Imagine I'll be hiding. Watch it. Oh my god.
あなたは私の顔なんて全く知らないだろうけど、私は知ってるわ。知ってるの。あなたの顔を知ってる。だから私はあなたを見ている。
Oh my god. So this is a Manhattan, man. Oh shit. So creepy, man.
黒板に書かれたこの文を見て、あなたがどんな態度を取るのか、ちゃんと見ておくから。ね、西條匠くん。
Man, she is full schizo, man. Full schizo. You unfortunately bit her lip After she had finished her task, Yua made her way up to the roof to kill time until the students of 2C finally arrived. Then 10 minutes before the bell rang, Yua returned to the hall, peering in through the door out for anyone who might react to her inscription of Sonome Darenome. And just as she had predicted, a certain panicked schoolboy was the one to erase the words. One look at his face, she could tell exactly who it was. Nishijo Takumi.
私は知ってるわ。知ってるの。あなたよ。あなたしかいない。
Oh my god! She's so scary, man. Jesus, Minaras, man. She muttered those words to herself, only for them to be drowned out by the speaker mimicking the sound of pigeons cooing. The pedestrian signal at the scramble had changed colors. The massive wave of pedestrians collectively ceased their standstill and began moving once more. However, Yua remained where she was, paying no heed to the possibility that she may be in the way of those trying to cross. She simply stood in place, focusing all her attention on the subtitles that appeared up on the Jumbotron. Jesus Christ, bro. Alright, skip. I'm gonna read some stuff for a while. Alright, positive delusion. All the way.
しかないじゃん。ミルクティーとか用意しといてよ。
Milkutia. Oh no, 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 no. All right, here we go. Kusunoki Yua was born with a twin sister. However, she had died 1 month ago. It had been ruled a suicide. The two were like a pair of couple necklaces, incomplete without one another. Their bond simply was not comparable to that of ordinary sisters. The shock of her death left Yua feeling as if she were only half the person she once was. That was how much she adored her twin sister. When she heard the news, an endless waterfall of tears sprang forth from her eyes. She collapsed onto her sister's bed, desperately searching for the girl who had been living there until only yesterday. Why did she have to die? Yua searched for any answer at all, but found none. It wasn't really suicide. She would never kill herself. Somebody must have murdered her. These thoughts only fueled the flame of her grief. Maybe, Yua thought, maybe she left behind a message that nobody's found yet. Tormented by the feelings of guilt, she began rummaging through her sister's possessions. When she did, she found a single diary, and within it were the words, Sonome Darenome. This was a clear cry for help from her sister. Even so, Yua had no idea what that phrase meant. With nothing to lose, she decided to search for it online. Among the results, she discovered a single essay, one that had been entered in the National Elementary School Writing Contest. It was a competition that had been held 6 years ago by the Ministry of Education. And the title of one of the winning essays was Sonome Dare no Me. The author's name was written beside the essay title. While the kanji could be read in multiple ways, the correct reading was clarified. Nishido Takumi, a fifth grade elementary schooler at that time. By the way, Sonome Darenome has become like a very popular phrase, you know, and yet, how come people weren't able to like catch that, um, weren't able to catch that it originated from Takumi? Anyway, however, that was where the trail went cold. She had no idea what connection Nishijo Takumi had with her sister's death. Then came an incredible coincidence. It was rather common for Yua to pass by Shoto Park on her way to school. And in that park, about twice a week, she would spot a loathsome schoolboy eating bread. As Yua observed him in his time of solitude, she somehow grew fond of seeing him. On her way to school one day, Yua happened to run into a friend of hers at the station. The two of them decided to walk together, eventually coming across the boy on the bench. Upon seeing him, her classmate spoke up.
あいつ2年の西条っていう子らしいよ。弟が同じクラスでさ、引きこもりの肝オタなんだって。クスノキ、あんなやつに興味持つのやめときなよ。
Why was she trash talking? Oh my god, what an asshole. Like, what an asshole. Oh man, she went full schizo there. I mean, Nishijo could be like a very common last name. I mean, Nishijo Takumi could be like another, it might be. I don't know how uncommon the combination Nishijo Takumi is, but when you think about it, like, instead of like John Smith is like a very common name, quote unquote. Wilhelm Armstrong, I'm pretty sure there's more than one Wilhelm Armstrong or something. But anyway, let's continue. The characters in his name would normally be read as Saijo. For it to be read as Nishijo was an anomaly. There was no way it was a mere coincidence. Okay. This is the justification they give. As soon as she could, Yua got her hands on the list of second-year Sume Academy students, and there it was, that name, Nishijo Takumi. Still, the shared name could not stand on its own as the decisive evidence. It too could be merely coincidental. Okay, she thought about that at least. So Yua decided to put her theory to the test. Sonome Dare no Me. She wrote those words on the blackboard and watched as she trembled in fear. That was not the end of it either. Leaked eyewitness reports from the crucifixion incident, which claim a Sume Academy student was spotted fleeing the scene, exploded across the internet. Yua had all evidence she needed. Nishijo Takumi was a suspect, and he very well could have been the one who had murdered her sister. All right. Oh, wait.
き外出嫌いなのに病院
Good. All right, let's go down. Okay. Skip.
Ne, na,
Best Emoto, man. I feel so happy when I hear her BGM, man. But I feel really sad about her route, man. That was like so fucked up, man. All right, skip. Remy. I can't wait for Remy's route. I'm so excited for Remy's route. I don't know when that's gonna happen though. Oh shit, this one's scary. This is when you attack me. This takes a while. Chapter 7 is gonna take a while. Yeah, this is kind of hot. Not gonna lie. Oh, here we go. No. I was probably just jumping to conclusions. Oh wait, this is a conclusion. I thought it was like a. No. So delusion.
お前だな。
Oh. Good. Yeah, remember last route? Yeah, that was really fucked up, man. All right, we're getting close. We're getting close. We're getting close. Holy shit, we are getting close. Wait, give me a second. I think I need to load the guide for this one. All right, I have to answer this. Yes. Yes. No. No. All right, we have to wait until chapter 7. It's taking a while. Bro, already spent 30 minutes just skipping. I already spent 30 minutes skipping, man. I haven't even started with the actual route. I mean, I'm kind of flagged in the route, but like, already spent 30 minutes.
あの、ゆ
Oh, here we are. Here we are, I guess. All right, here we are. All right, let's let's start with this. Initiated by Momose, a meeting was slated to be held at the Frisia Credit Bureau, a meeting to which Ban was now running nearly half an hour late for. See how different this is
ちょ
now.
っとばんちゃん遅いじゃないの
Momose's angry voice hurled into him as he entered the office. In response to this, the man gave a minor shrug, then proceeded to walk up to the desk of Frisia's president with an amicable smile on her face. He had not brought any refreshments today, something he was beginning to believe may have been a lapse in judgment.
あらつばちゃんは
今日は別行動。
若い子をこき使ってばんちゃんは楽してるわけね
いやいや、俺もちゃんとやってるよ。昨日だって徹夜でいろいろ調べてたんだぜ。おかげで最近の女子高生の生態についてはかなり詳しくなった。
So far as it's insane
あんたね
how this is gonna
呆れて物も言えないわ
で、こうして俺を呼びつけたってことは、あの子と連絡取れたってこと？
今来てるわ
さすがももちゃん。あ、ちなみに可愛い子かい？
Momose promptly smacked Ban over the head, stopping his opportunistic grin in his tracks. The sheer speed with which she had turned her tourists made his laugh especially fierce.
いつまでもバカなこと言ってんじゃないわよエロ親父
冗談だって。
Just a little Joden, man. Before arriving at the building, Ban had made a private request to Momose. It entailed setting up a meeting between him and a certain person connected to the new gen cases. Rather than anything work-related, it was merely to satiate a personal curiosity. He was not planning on talking about anything related to the new gen investigations for the time being. And due to his position, Ban could not simply meet with the person on his own, else he would risk drawing the ire of the detectives he was getting ahead of. Momose urged Ban over to the corner of the office. It was a fairly cramped space, almost all of which was merely taken by the shelves packed full of files. The location was used as a reception area of sorts, and a pair of love seats had been wedged into the only place they could fit. Ban entered the section after Momose. His eyes landed upon the lone girl sitting in one of the love seats. The girl was wearing a Sume Academy uniform. Her hair, her head, and shoulders were curved toward the ground, and she looked incredibly haggard.
ごめんねお待たせしちゃって
The girl looked up in startlement upon hearing Momose. In the process, her glasses had slipped down her nose a bit, leading her to swiftly readjust them with her finger.
あ、いえ、平気です。
When she saw Ban, her expression turned slightly fearful, before bowing her head in a greeting a moment later. Ban felt somewhat hurt by this. He had made every attempt to look as non-threatening as possible in both bearing and appearance, but the girl's reaction made him realize that, despite his best efforts, the ferocity and intimidation particular to detectives were seeping out all the same. Looks like we still got a lot of practicing to do, he thought with a bitter amusement as he sat across from Yua.
楠木優愛さんだね。
はい。
亡くなった美和さんの双子の姉。それで間違いないかな。
Yua slightly adjusted her posture, then returned a nod. The first new gen incident, the group died. Among the 5 high schoolers that had leaped to their deaths was a girl named Kusunoki Miya.
まあそんな緊張しなさんな。君を取り調べようなんて思っちゃねえんだ。雑談程度に思ってよ。本題に入る前にちょっと聞いていいかい？ゆあちゃんは妹さんが亡くなったことについてどう思う？
ちょっとばんちゃん。
あ、悪いね。職業病ってやつか。気を使うような言い方できなくってな。ただ気になってたんだ。捜査本部でも話題になってたんだが、楠木美也さんの遺族は奇妙だって。
ばんちゃん。
いえ、いいんです。
Before Momose could rise to her feet over Ban's insensitive comment, Yua stopped her.
私もおかしいって思いますから。
ああ、
集団ライブで飛び降りた5人には自殺する理由なんてなかった。家族や友人はみんなそう主張している。だがミヤさんの家族だけは違った。
Ban took his fan from his belt and began cooling himself.
何も主張しなかった。あっさり受け入れたって聞いてる。あまりに何も言わなさすぎて奇妙だったってな。なんでだい？
お父さんもお母さんもみやちゃんが死んでからおかしくなっちゃったんです。
Anguish seeped from Yua's voice.
最初はみやちゃんの事件の知らせを受けた日はそれでも泣いていたんです。お父さんもお母さんもとても辛そうでした。でも次の日の朝、なぜか2人は楽しそうに笑っていたんです。みやちゃんが死ぬ前と全く同じに戻ってたんです。たった1日で。私わけがわからなくて、2人はみやちゃんのこと忘れようとしてるんじゃないかって思って、そうしたらお父さんが笑いながら「お前に妹なんていないよ」って。みやちゃんが残した洋服とか靴とかを見せても全然取り合ってくれないんです。それはお前のために予備で買ってあったものだって。そうやってお父さんたちはニュースからも警察の話からも目を背けて、記憶からみやちゃんのことを消し去ろうとしてるんです。
つまり双子じゃなかったことに。
それで警察にもうちは一人っ子だって言って追い返してたわけか。
私とみやちゃんは一卵性で、見た目は瓜二つなんですけど、あの子は、妹は親から嫌われていました。あの子はいつも自分の気持ちを押し殺して、私のことを一番に考えてくれていたんです。
As Yua spoke, memories from when Yua had still been alive resurfaced in her mind. First came a memory from when the two had still been in elementary school. By the way, what's the scene that's so different in this one? So far, everything's the same, and this is a very long scene. So, anyway, one day some relatives have brought the girls a single large teddy bear as a present. You know what? I'll just skip some. I'll skip stuff I think I read. Let me. We already read this one. I'm just gonna straight up skip this one. Yeah, we already read this part.
私は結局みやちゃんの優しさに甘えて、今まで自分だけいい思いをしてきました。 みやちゃんがいなくなって初めてもっとあの子の私が代わりにしかも挙句に親に存在そのものこんなのあんまりです。
Yua had now reached her limit. Could no longer squeeze out any more words. She took off her glasses, pressed her finger against the corner of her eyes, and broke down in tears. Momose sat down beside her and gently rubbed her back.
それでゆ
Okay,
あちゃ
you
ん
already
は
read this one.
一人で事件のことを調べていたらしい。みやちゃんに一体何があったのか。
そりゃ大変だったろ
そして一人
あ
As Momose held, okay, we know this
西条
part.
匠くんよ。
なるほどね。いつだったか西条と追跡劇をしてたっていう女子、もしかしてばあちゃんだったりする？ああ、興味あるな。おおと思ったけどちょっとごめんよ。もしもし、どうした？
先輩、7番目。
なんだと？
ニュージェネ第7の事件が起きたんす。外車は3人、友人同士らし3人。
Wait, maybe the difference here is he wasn't able to reject the theory about Nishijiro Takumi being a culprit in Yua's eyes.
それと気になって司法
I do have a feeling, yeah, that's what happened.
どういう意味だ？
なんか強い。
引きちぎられた。まるでかい。
先輩、映画オタクの自分でも。
単なる例えだっぱ。映画ら、さっさと捜査に戻れ。
Yeah, I think that's what happened. That's what's different in this scene. Yeah, I think that's what happened here. She wasn't able to present her investigation to Ban, so I guess things will be different, really different here. By the time Yua finished up with Ban and Momose and left Frisha, the sky had long been covered by a thick veil of darkness. Yeah, Yua wasn't even able to chill out with these two, because in the two other endings, she ended up chilling with Ban and Momose. During the time she spent there, Yua had explained all the suspicions she had gathered from her investigation of Nishijiro Takumi. Okay, she was able to do it, but Ban was a detective and Momose was the head of a private investigation agency. If she could get the two of them on her side, then perhaps Nishijiro Takumi would finally be arrested. That was what Yua had been hoping for. Nishijiro Takumi needed to be arrested. Yua had sympathy for the boy's painful circumstances, so she would have preferred it if he had turned himself into the authorities. But since he refused to do so, she had no choice but to get the police involved. That had been her plan, at any rate. But much to her surprise, Detective Ban told her that Nishijiro Takumi had been removed from the list of suspects. Yua found this news absolutely unbelievable. She did not want to accept it. Okay, so this one's the number one different thing. Because on the other ending, she was ready to accept it. Here, she was like, because of the Sonome Darenome thing on the blackboard, she developed a hard, conviction on Takumi. Why had her theory been dismissed? It was blatantly obvious that Nishijiro Takumi was behind the new gen. Biting down hard on her lip, Yua increased her pace as she hurried toward the station. She had to return home as quickly as possible to investigate the case from top to bottom and find some conclusive evidence. And with that evidence, she would be able to prove her theory correct to Detective Ban.
あれ？楠木さんところのお嬢さんじゃないっすか。
Oh shit! She encountered Suwa. Holy shit. The sudden sound of her name startled Yua, stopping her dead in her tracks. The words of her homeroom teacher came into mind. Shibuya has become all too dangerous lately. Women really shouldn't be out alone at night right now. Remembering that warning, Yua froze completely. The voice she had just heard belonged to a rather friendly-looking young man.
確かユアちゃんっすよね。
He's not wearing his Dark Spider mask, so he's But it's still kind of suspicious because he never. This is the first time he's meeting her, so he has, this is kind of weird.
あの
She felt like she had seen him somewhere before, but at the moment could not remember exactly where.
覚えてないっすか？
Wait, did
自
they
分
actually meet
諏訪
before?
守って言います。ほら、こういうものっすよ。
Making sure that only Yua could see it, the man took out his police badge and showed it to her, then quickly shoved it back inside his suit pocket.
集団ダイブの後、一度楠木さんのお宅に伺ったことはありますよ。その時にゆあちゃんともいろいろお話ししたんすけどね。
Oh, I see. Okay. This is interesting.
すいません、思い出しました。その説はどうも。
Yua bowed her head. The incident had really shaken her to her core, so much so that she genuinely could not recall Sua's face. However, the talk back then had indeed helped Yua sort out her feelings regarding the bizarre nature of her sister's death, and for that she was truly grateful to him.
さっきまでバン刑事と一緒だったんじゃないっすか？
バンさんとお知り合いなんですか？
そりゃ同じ警視庁捜査一課っすから。自分の先輩っすよ。いつも怒られてます。よっぽど若い女の子と話せるのが嬉しかったんすね。ここだけの話っすけど、今日ゆあちゃんと会うって自分に教えてくれた時の先輩、鼻の下伸ばしちゃってどう見てもスケベ親父って感じだったっす。できれば自分も同席したかったんすけど、捜査から抜け出せなくて。そうそう、ゆあちゃんのご両親には連絡行ってるんすかね？多分行ってると思うんすけど。どうかな？
連絡と言いますと？
いや、集団ダイブのね、犯人が使ったと思われる遺留品が見つかったんすよ。
本当ですか？
It was the first time Yua had heard of this. With all hesitation now evaporated, she stepped closer to Sua.
どんなものだと思うっすか？最近別の事件でマスコミが散々取り上げてるんで有名だと思うんすけど、なんとダーススパイダーのヘルメットっす。
それを集団ダイブの犯人もかぶっていたんですか？
That's literally him. That's literally him.
そう、ネットに事件の様子を撮影したビデオが流出したっすよね。あれを解析した結果分かったんすよ。それにしてもダーススパイダーといえば例の渋谷エスパー騒動の少年が有名っすよね。西条匠くんでしたっけ？なんで彼が集団ダイブの犯人と同じようにダーススパイダーのヘルメットを持ってたんすかね？
Oh no, this fucking setup, man. Holy shit. You was gonna go full schizo, man. The moment she heard those words, dark impulses began to flood Yua's heart. She had been completely convinced. She had only begun feeling it a few moments ago, that all she needed was one piece of decisive evidence. One piece to prove herself to Ban and Momose. And now, she had it.
さてと、それじゃあ自分フリージアに行くんで、この辺で失礼します。
I love when you heard because you already know. I mean, by the time you reach at this point of the game, you already know Sua's one half the culprit. And with that, Suwa waved goodbye and left, all by herself now. Yua stared down at the pavement, utterly paralyzed.
彼だわ。
Her murmurs were to no one but herself.
彼なの。やっぱり彼だった。彼しかいない。彼に間違いない。彼が妹を殺したのよ。彼がミワを殺したのよ。
I like it when Yua does this. She goes full when she does the complete quick succession of sentences. It's when she goes full schizo, man. Naito Haruto entered the room. Hi, Night Harkun. I've been waiting for you because there's another nude again. What are you even talking about? You, Jendu, what the fuck are you think I'm on about? How exactly did we go from new gen to nude gen? Okay, I already read this one. Oh, but anyway, come on, that shit's obvious. Use common sense, FFS. More importantly, there's the 7th case. The 7th case. It happened again. Another new gen. How long was this damn thing gonna go on for? Was I next? Would I be the victim of the 8th case? The 9th? Anxiety aside, Grim was pretty much the new gen news guy at this point. He had been keeping me in the loop about basically everything. Even now, he was going out of his way to link a bunch of blog posts and news articles about it. Seemed like he really wanted me to take a look. Biting my lip, I reluctantly clicked the first link. Okay, we already read this one, the DQN's puzzle. We're gonna speedrun the thread.
今日午前4時50分頃、東京都警察の調べによりますと、殺されたのはいずれも
We're gonna go through this. We already read this
3人
one.
の額には渋谷では2ヶ月ほど前から猟奇殺人
We're
事
gonna
件
go
が
to the
警察では今回の事件も同一犯による犯行の可能性が高い。
We're gonna speed through the next we're gonna skip to the new content here. Oh, don't tell me this is gonna be Yua. Oh, don't tell me this is gonna be Yua, man. Don't tell me this is gonna be Yua. Just now, there had been a knock at the door. Someone was there. I looked at the clock on my PC. It was past 8 p.m. Who in their right mind would show up this late? Wait, Remy. It had to be her. She had finally come to save me. She said she would stay by my side, hadn't she? So it only made sense that she'd come back to me. Would it have killed her to come a little earlier, though? Feeling like my salvation was at hand, I practically threw myself at the door. I then removed the padlock and opened the door. I tried to call out Remy's name, but a hand suddenly clamped my mouth shut. Oh, no! Panic instantly overwhelmed me. I didn't even have the chance to see who it was. I tried forcing the hand out my mouth. But before I could, my attacker threw all their weight against me, and I staggered backward. Still, I desperately tried to stand my ground. I flailed my arms around wildly, thinking it will somehow help me break their grasp. I then opened my mouth wide and bit down on their hand as hard as I could. Despite that, my attacker remained silent. They weren't even phased. I bit them down with all my strength, so they must have been in pain, but they still didn't let go. They pressed against me even harder, causing me to lose my balance. No longer able to resist, I fell to the floor with them on top of me. The back of my head hit the ground so hard I nearly lost consciousness. My vision started to go blurry, and I couldn't tell how exactly I landed. And on top of that, the assailant was still covering my mouth, so tightly in fact that I could barely breathe. My consciousness was starting to fade, so before I blacked out, I desperately tried to get the glimpse of the person who attacked me. I knew it, it's her. Oh man, she really went full schizo, man. Holy shit. You? What? Oh god, I completely forgotten about her. I was so focused on Shogun. His #1 underling slipped my mind. Realizing that the sheer terror sent shivers down my entire body, I struggled as hard as I could, desperately trying to escape. But under the full weight of her body, I couldn't move an inch. Under normal circumstances, I've been focused on the fact that our bodies were pressed together, but I lacked the capacity for that right now. Now wasn't the time to be drooping over female contact. There was only one thing in my mind. I need to get away somehow, or she'd kill me. Blood trickled out from Yua's hand where I'd bitten her. Even so, she kept pressing down with all her might, her grip just as intense as when she first grabbed hold of me. She was trying relentlessly to keep my jaw shut, to the point where her nails were digging into my cheeks. A sharp, stabbing pain pierced through my body. Bro, she really went full schizo here. Her mutters came between ragged breaths. Much to my horror. I had to keep resisting, so I grabbed Yua's long hair and pulled hard. But Yua still didn't budge. All she did was grimace. Using my free hand, she grabbed my hand tightly and dug her nails once again. Ow! Fuck! The immense pain forced me to let go, and then using the tiny opening, she pinned my hands to the floor. Yua's glasses slipped down her nose during the fight. Tears were welling up behind them, likely from the pain of me pulling her hair. Just like the day at Shoto Park, she was staring right through me with those cold, sharp eyes. What the hell was she talking about? Was it the same bullshit as always, calling me the new gen killer? I haven't killed anyone. You came here to kill me, you dumb bitch. I tried to glare back at Yua, but hers was just too terrifying to confront. Nothing good could come from making eye contact with dangerous people, and I soon came to realize how true that was, how unhinged the look could be. I looked away, wishing for the depths of my soul that I'd awakened from this nightmare, but... Yua brought her face in even closer. I could feel her racked breaths on my cheeks. With how close she was, it was practically impossible to look anywhere else. Her breath was incredibly hot. I wanted to headbutt her. Oyu was pressing down so hard I couldn't even lift my head off the floor. DID? Multiple personalities, in other words? When we were at Cafe, Yua had said the same thing, but that was just some stupid fucking delusion of hers. She didn't know shit, and she sure as hell didn't know me better than I did. I don't need to understand shit. I didn't fucking kill anyone. I don't have multiple personalities. That's the kind of shit you only see in anime and manga and shit. This is real life. I don't have DID. God damn it. I'm not Shogun. You got the wrong guy. Shogun is someone else. I even met him, for fuck's sakes. He uses a wheelchair. He appears out of thin air like some kind of ghost. He always reads my mind like some sick fucking pervert. And despite having the voice of a kid, he is rubbered and wrinkles like an old man. He's my enemy. Don't lump me in with him. Just the thought makes me want to puke. Wait, wasn't Yua supposed to be Shogun's underling? I could have sworn she was working for him. But it really did seem she genuinely had me and Shogun mixed up.
自重して。あなたは少し眠っていて、将軍にその体を渡して。
Even if I do go to sleep, that won't fucking happen. I don't have multiple personalities, you stupid fucking bitch. I tried my hardest to say all that to her, but since her hand was still pressed firmly against my mouth, the best I could do was a bunch of muffled groans.
出てきなさい。出てきて。出てきて。出られないの。出てこられるはずよ。出たいでしょ。出てこい。人殺し。
I really love this. This guy's so shit. Tears began to fall from my eyes. I lost all my will to resist. All remaining strength left my body. I was so tired. Why? Why did I have to deal with this psycho? Why did I have to listen to all the bullshit she spewed at me? What had I done to deserve this? This was just too much. All because the delusional stalker had come to the wrong conclusion. And now, no one would save me. Was I going to die by her hands? Even if I didn't, even if I made it through today, there'll be no guarantee I'd survive tomorrow. Shogun could still show up at any time. Would I have to live the rest of my life in fear? Please. I didn't want that. I didn't want to live like that. I'd rather go insane than get locked up in some mental facility somewhere. I'd rather die right here, right now.
どうして泣くの？
Yua slowly began to remove her hand from my mouth. And then she started lifting herself off me. As soon as her weight was completely off, I felt instant relief.
将軍が出てきたの？
I shook my head lightlessly.
うざりなんだ。いっそ殺せ。
殺さない。私が殺させない。あなたは罪を償うべきなのよ。そして真実を語るべき。死んで逃げることは許さない。許さないわ。許すわけにはいかないの。
I love that! I love that line, man.
将軍は別にいる。ニュージェネの犯人はそいつだよ。
将軍はあなたよ。あなたなの。あなたしか考えられない。
My words had gone in one ear and out the other. She refused to listen to me. She was completely convinced that she knew the truth. There was no point resisting.
将軍、出てきて。出てきてよ。出てきてって言ってるでしょ。どうして出てこないの？あなたがそこにいるのは分かってるのよ。絶対に将軍を引き出してみせるわ。私は諦めないから。それまで絶対に逃がさないから。
Suddenly, Yua stood up and went to close the open container door. She slowly picked the padlock off the floor and used it to lock the door shut. And then she stashed the key in the pocket of her uniform. Why was she doing this? What was she thinking?
逃がさないから。
Ah! A faint murmur, spoken to no one but herself, one that chilled me to the bone. Oh, man. Of the countless fast food restaurants located throughout Shibuya, every single one was always packed front to back with young people. It took a lot of courage for the lone middle-aged man to come to a place like this. After all, he would be sure to stick out like a sore thumb. Those were the thoughts circulating in Man Yasuji's mind as he sipped his coffee, surrounded on all sides by young people chattering away. The drink in his paper cup was already starting to go cold. A single clear file folder sat on the table in front of him. Inside it was a handful of photocopied documents for the investigation files, many of which were adorned with Ban's countless sticky notes. Ban had arrived at the restaurant about an hour ago, the location where he planned to personally re-examine the file's contents. As for why he had chosen a busy place like this, he had been removed from the new Gen investigation team approved a Stryer, but he has still wished to independently run background checks on all relevant persons. The copy of the report that Ban was sifting through, which was never intended to lead the police station, had a few images attached to it. One photograph depicted one of the victims in the first New Gen case. New Gen incident. The group died. A girl named Kusunoki Miya. Ban's interest had been piqued the previous day when he met with Miya's older sister, Kusunoki Yua. After hearing Yua describe Miya's personality, he had decided to investigate further. At first, he was also looking into rumors from around Shibuya, such as the high school girl with a sword. But in the end, every lead turned up cold. That is expected for me, except for Miya. And after reading through the documents again and again, he still felt like something was off. There was a lot of information which seemed trivial at best, or at the very least not directly related to the case. But after putting the pieces together, something felt out of place. And when Ban had heard Yua's story yesterday, that feeling had crept up on him all the more. After all, there was something in the file that Ban could not ignore. A pair of glasses was found among the possessions of Kusunoki Miya, one of the group dive participants. That was the detail that rubbed Ban the wrong way. He took a look at the list of notes taken from various interviews conducted during the investigation. Taking another sip of coffee, Ban let out a befuddled grunt. From her birth all the way until her death, there was not a single photograph of Kusunoki Miya wearing glasses. It was her sister, Kusunoki Yua, that wore them. He had even gone so far as to obtain access to Kusunoki Miya's medical records. Sure enough, she had boasted perfect 20/20 vision, thus had no need for glasses. Kusunoki Miya had been a quiet girl with an interest in anime, quite the contrast to her happy-go-lucky sister. That all matched up with the description Kusunoki Yua had given. While the 5 victims of the group dive were friends, some reports suggested that their encounter in Naruto was the first time that had ever met. Allegedly, they were online friends who got in together for an offline meet. Naturally, their online activity was heavily scrutinized as part of the investigation, but there were never any signs of suicidal tendency displayed by the victims. Furthermore, several hours before the group dive, 2 high school girls who appeared to be twins had been spotted walking into a fast food restaurant in Shibuya. Ban took a look around. He was sitting at the very same fast food restaurant mentioned in the report. Before sitting down, Ban had also taken the time to speak with one of the restaurant's employees. The employee had told him the 2 girls had chatted for a while and proceeded to take a 10-minute bathroom break. What on earth could have taken them so long in there, Ban wondered. He stared intently. He stared intently at the women's bathroom, which caught him the scornful glare of every young girl nearby. Realizing this, Ban flashed a weary smile before returning his gaze toward the screens outside the window. 18 excruciating hours had passed since Yua had raided my container. My hands had been tied behind my back and around my leg on my loft bed. Fortunately, I'd been tied down, so it wasn't too exhausting. Unfortunately, the rope coiled around my wrist was constantly digging into them, which was fairly painful. I somehow managed to doze off about 3 hours during that time, but it didn't do me any good. I was still very sleepy, likely due to the fact that no one could get any half-decent sleep like this. Damn it. I wasn't into this S&M shit at all. If only I could hit decline on the RP invite. Yua was still sitting on the sofa, watching me. She'd been doing so all night. She really had been putting her all into it. She did nothing else the entire time. Did she ever sleep? What was she even trying to accomplish here to begin with? Yua was convinced that I had DID, but I knew that wasn't true. She could wait like that all she wants, but Shogun would never come out. She hadn't gagged me and actually allowed me to speak right after she tied me down. Of course, I'd taken full advantage of that to voice the above thoughts over and over again, but they just went in one ear and out the other. After a few hours of trying to change her mind, I realized how obstinate she really was, so I just gave up. And after that,
あなたが将軍を生み出したんです。あなたが将軍なんです。現実逃避の手段。将軍はあなた自身であり、同時にあなたではない別の存在。
I'm having a Scuzzle experience here, man.
もう一人のあなた。
Wait, I'll be right back really quick. Okay, when that happens. Yeah, I'll be right back. There you go. All right, let's go back to this. Full Scuzzle filled here, man.
あなたの負の側面。あなたの弱い心を守るための存在。あなたの狂気。快楽殺人者。手段は選ばない。殺す相手も選ばない。殺すことが存在理由。誰でもよかったんですか？本当にミーアはなぜ選ばれたんですか？答えて、答えてよ。答えてください。
I so love this shit, man. This is so Scuzzle, man.
答えてほしい。答えないと許しません。
Yua kept mumbling her pathological ramblings over and over again, never coming up for air. My room was extremely small, and my only means of covering my ears, my hands were tied up, so I had no choice but to listen. I thought I was going insane. On top of that, I felt as if I only got to experience the tip of the iceberg. I started trying to think of a way to escape. I tried pulling the toilet cart to weigh my chances of getting out here, but it didn't work. She didn't untie my hands and allow me to go, but she followed me very closely. She stood right behind me the entire time, never taking her eyes off of me, even when I was doing my business. Oh my god! And to make matters worse, she even continues prodding those insane ramblings of hers from behind my back. How long was this shit gonna go on for? I couldn't even get some actual sleep. Besides, who knows when this bitch was gonna snap and kill me out of nowhere. Then again, even if I was awake, I wasn't confident I'll be able to defend myself anyway.
何がきっかけ？どうすれば出てくるんですか？肉体的苦痛、精神的苦痛、性的衝動、
What?
トラウマ、
What?
偶然。
Yua's murmurs suddenly came to a stop. But even then, she was still glaring at me. The room had become dead silent, and yet, given the circumstances, the stillness only served to make me even more tense. Suddenly, the sound of a stomach grumbling broke the silence. I hadn't had anything to eat or drink, so I was obviously hungry, but that still hadn't been me just now, which meant that Yu was hungry too. Moreover, I was sure I heard a stomach growling, but Yua's lack of reaction almost made me reconsider. Normal girls, say it at that phrase, say it at really? For example, would have had a cuter reaction. Yeah, she most likely say, most likely say something like this.
何さ、しょうがないっしょ。食べたいけどすごく我慢してるんだから。なんでって、それは前にあなたに太ってるって言われたから。でも別にさ、あなたに言われたからダイエットしてるわけじゃないよ。勘違いしないでよね、このコケナス。
What a classic Cinderella. As transparent as a glass window. Seira, you're so cute when you get mad and blush like that, Seira. Damn it, the situation I was in was really making me want to escape into my delusions.
食べないんですか？
Yua's tone was ice cold as ever. As I was still sitting, she lowered her gaze down to my feet. A plate had been placed in front of them. It was a plate full of pasta, tarako spaghetti, to be precisely served with a finely cut seaweed garnish. However, it had already been sitting there for around 2 hours, so the pasta probably was dry and sticky by now. Yua had made it for me. She tied me up and left without saying a word, then came back about 30 minutes later with a heaping plate of pasta. It would seem she'd gone to the supermarket, bought the ingredients, and cooked them into a pasta for me outside the container house. What was she plotting by making me a home-cooked meal? I couldn't wrap my head around it. She could have just bought something that was ready-made at a convenience store. Still kind of cute when you think about it. Maybe she poisoned it. The thought made me want to stay as far away from it as possible. Besides, it wasn't like I could eat it even if I wanted to. My hands were tied up, and the plate was at my feet.
あんたが食べればいい。
Remembering that Yua's stomach had growled, I gave the sarcastic retort.
あなたを肉体的にいたぶろうとか、そんなつもりはないんです。私はただ、将軍が出てくるのを待っているだけ。だから、食べてください。
This is so false, man. I cannot wait what ISS route is gonna be like. Already false, Kazoo.
この状態で食べられると思ってるの？無茶言わないでよ。
Yua stood up, walked up to me, then she crouched down next to me. I looked away in fear, still holding on to hope that she would untie the rope coiled around my hands. But of course, that wasn't what happened. Instead, Yua picked up the plate, struggled to twirl the dry as hell sticky pasta with a fork. Then once she finally managed to, she held it out to my mouth.
どうぞ。
嫌だ。食べないぞ。
Okay, open wide, say and its variants were events you could only experience in Arrogate. This was real life. Where when things were this tense, all her feeding all her feeding me did was highlight her murderous intent all the more. At least untie me if you're gonna do shit like this. At least if I was untied, I could pretend to eat some and go, yum, this tastes like shit. Take it away, Tate, thanks. But here, I wasn't even afforded that.
レンジでチンしましょうか。
いらないって言ってるじゃないか。
I thought about knocking the plate out of her hand with my knee, but if I did that, she'll definitely get pissed, and there was no telling what she'll do next. The thought sent chills down my spine, so in the end I decided to hold back the urge.
分かってください。私が西条くんにこんなことするのは、あなたを救うためでもあるんです。決してあなたを傷つけるためじゃないんですよ。
The fuck are you talking about, Yua? Are you stupid? Wanna die? Who the hell did she think she was? She wanted to save me? Sure, it was true the new gen Shogun and all that stuff was scared the living shit out of me, and that I desperately wanted someone to save me. But that someone was clearly excluding Yua. I never asked to be subjected to this crazy ambitious delusions.
食べて、
Oh no, she wants Kazuo again!
無理にでも食べて。
There was the cold pasta swirled around the fork. Yua shoved it toward my mouth.
食べられますよね。
Yua moved even closer, still glaring at me to no
食べ
end.
てください。食べて。
Slowly, Yua stopped dead in her tracks. Why did this bitch come closer and closer every time she got mad? I kept looking away, clamped my mouth shut. She must have been insane if she thought I'd ever eat something she made. I'd end up with fucking food poisoning. An hour or so passed. My stomach was still growling. I was so scared that I wanted to scream, but I couldn't.
食べて。食べてよ。食べてって言ってるでしょ。食べて。
Yua was still crouching down next to me, staring at me, and she was still trying to shove the pasta down my throat too. She had stayed there the entire time, in the exact same position.
食べて。食べてください。食べないと。食べて。食べてほしい。食べて。食べなさい。食べて。食べていいの。食べなよ。食べろ。
She kept on making her demands in a series of low murmurs, refusing to do anything else. I had a feeling that another hour had passed already. I was so creeped out I couldn't even lift a finger. I was petrified. I was a deer perpetually stuck in the headlights. She hadn't hurt me or anything. She hadn't forced me to eat the pasta either. And yet somehow I felt more and more afraid of you with each passing moment. She was simply waiting for me to eat, and nothing else. And yet I was still scared shitless. A normal person would have given up after 5 minutes, but not Yua. No, Yua had kept at it for over an hour. If this were a normal version of this kind of thing, Yua would pull my hair, force my mouth open, and scream at me, "Eat it, you scum!" But she didn't, so I didn't have the slightest clue what the hell she was thinking. She was a total freak. She was broken. No sane person could do what she was doing. She wasn't human. She couldn't be. I'm scared. 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 I was at the rock bottom. I wanted to kneel down and beg for forgiveness. My entire body was covered with thick, disgusting sweat. I was enduring so much anguish mentally that I could hardly breathe. I didn't know what to do. I'd never had a girl stare at me from this close for this long, but who the hell has? If we were a couple having a lovey-dovey conversation while we rub our noses together some shit, that'll be fine. But no. No, no, no. Yua just kept repeating the same shit over and over again, like a broken goddamn record. But this broken record would never stop fucking glaring at me. How was this even real?
食べて。食べなさい。食べてよ。食べてください。食べろ。
I couldn't deal with her gaze on me any longer, so I dared to squeeze out a single word. My voice had gone hoarse.
食べるよ。
Yua's murmurs stopped. She remained completely still, in the same posture as before. I forced my mouth open. I nervously ate the pasta she'd been trying to feed me for over an hour. My mouth was already dry to begin with, and eating this with her pasta didn't help. It just sucked away any moisture I had left. I couldn't bear the taste, so I almost didn't shoot at all, so I choked the pasta down. Yua blinked a few times, surprised to see me actually eating, and like a statue come to life, she started moving again.
おいしい
Of course not! No, it doesn't taste good at all. I thought to myself, but there was no way I could say that to her face, so I gave a weak nod instead.
よかったです
Why did she have to like make home cooked meals for him, man? He was right. A convenience store would be good enough for a situation like this. It doesn't make sense, but she still did it anyway. Anyway, let's continue. Despite what she said, Yua still had the most deadpan expression on her face. I couldn't detect even the slightest bit of happiness. She moved forward back toward the plate she was holding, and with it she picked up another clump of dry, sticky pasta and held it out to my mouth once again. Did I really have to eat all of it? Would she not let go otherwise? Give me a break already. Tears started flowing from my eyes. I couldn't hold them anymore. I was just too scared. And yet, no matter how hard I tried, Yua didn't seem to care. She would keep on doing this until I finished the entire plate. So I ate. Tears endlessly streaming down my face. And she kept on feeding me that dry, shitty pasta. By the time I finished all of it, I was both physically and mentally exhausted. Man, I feel bad for this guy.
お腹いっぱいになりましたかなりましたよねなったはず
Oh no, 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 no.
一生懸命作った甲斐がありました
In contrast to what she said, Yua's tone was cold as ice. Then at last she took a small step away from me and placed the pasta on my desk. And I sat back down on the sofa. After sitting down, she looked in my direction and went right back to staring at me. And she stared. She stopped. As she stared, she stopped moving. Don't look at me, damn it. Please stop looking at me. I did nothing but chant those words over and over inside my head, but I couldn't say them out loud. I was too scared. Was she really going to monitor me for an entire day? This was straight up psychological torture. Just the mere thought of it made me even more depressed.
なんでこんなことするんだよ
I was crying now, but I couldn't help but ask that. I needed to know.
僕に何の恨みがあって
妹が死んだんです
Huh? Younger sister? For a split second, Yua looked like she was about to cry, only to quickly reassume her ice cold expression.
集団ダイブの被害者の一人私の双子の妹ミアって言います私は妹を殺した犯人を許さないって思ってましたそしてあなたにたどり着いたあなたの苦しみを知りました私は妹がなぜ殺されなくちゃいけなかったのかその真実を知りたいなぜ犯人が将軍が妹を殺したのか知りたいそれとあなたも助けたい分かってください分かってくれますよね分かるはずです
I thought back to the video of the group dive that had been uploaded to YouTube. Had one of the crying victims in that video been Yua's younger sister? I knew full well that what Yua was going through, the same kind of thing had happened recently with Nanami after all. But that didn't mean I could forgive what she was doing right now. This crazy bitch had broken into my house, tied me up, and now she was holding me captive. Yeah, no way in hell could I ever feel sympathy for her after all that shit. I had completely lost track of time. My room had no windows after all. I had no way to tell what time it was.
その目誰の目ってどういう意味？どうしてこれから殺す相手に言わせたの？どうしてダイイングメッセージとして残したの？あなたは何を訴えたいの？
Usually, I just checked the time on my phone or my PC. Not that there were any other ways to do so, but since I was still tied to the leg of my bed, I obviously couldn't use either method. The only chance I got to check the time was whenever I went to the bathroom, but even then, it was a pretty small window. But the longer this torture lasted, the harder it got for me to get up and use the toilet. I simply didn't feel the urge to piss, likely because I wasn't drinking enough water. It felt as if I'd been deprived of all physiological phenomena for over a day now.
どうしてダーススパイダーなの？それを被ることで何を訴えたかったの？宗教的な意味があるの？ダークヒーロー願望？それともセランをバカにしたいだけ？
Yup. Yua practically didn't move an inch. She simply continued sitting on the sofa, standing up every once in a while, only to sit back down right after. And her muttering hadn't stopped the entire time. How was she still talking after this long? It wasn't like I could kill time on my PC, nor could I make any calls or send any messages. I couldn't even sleep. All I could do was sit there and be assaulted endlessly with questions. Yua's mumbling was starting to sound like a mantra or something at this point. I couldn't stand being watched for this long. Sure, I had to cope with Shogun reading my mind, and the sensation of being observed by the gaze. But while those things did suck, I could still at least stomach them. But I wish I could say the same about Yua's unending watch. Her gaze was so utterly devoid of any emotion or warmth that it genuinely felt as if I wasn't even there. Like my very existence itself was constantly being ignored and not outright denied by her. Regardless, the point is that I knew nothing about what was going on in the outside world. And I wouldn't. No, couldn't as long as I was tied up. I had lost all perception of time. I didn't know how many days had passed since I'd been tied up. I had a feeling that 2 days or so had gone by, but it sure as hell felt more like a month. Being deprived of my freedom of movement was really stressful. Every minute of however many hours had passed, I would think to myself, I need to look at the clock. That was the sole thing on my mind.
それとも
Yua's head suddenly tilted. She took off her glasses and rubbed the eyelids that occulted her bleary eyes. She was only human. I had imagined, so she was finally starting to get tired. She hadn't caught a wink of sleep the entire time after all. Maybe she should have thought this through before doing it. She was just wasting time. Nothing would come of any of this. This never would have happened if she just listened to me.
いつ出てきてくれるんですか？
Her whispers were practically delirious. Come out. She must have still been talking about Shogun.
どうしたら出てきてくれるんですか？出てきてよ。
Unfortunately for you, he won't come out no matter how much you plead, because he's not there to begin with.
待ってるから待って。
I think she's about to collapse. When silence took over the room once more, Yua's body slowly tilted over. With all her strength gone, she fell to the side of the sofa. Had she fallen asleep? Had her batteries finally run out? I breathed a sigh of relief with all the tension in my body released along with it. I hadn't even had a single moment to relax the entire time she'd been staring at me. And now now that she wasn't, I could finally take it easy for a bit.
タッキー、何のんきなこと言ってんの？
Taylor Tan's voice rang out from beside my monitor.
逃げるなら今がチャンスなんよ。
Skedaddle.
それどころかさ、今なら無防備なユアッチを逆監禁できるかも。そしたらやりたい放題じゃん、ボケナス。
Oh, I see. I can degrade her and train her to becoming the perfect sex slave. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yua was still lying on the sofa, so I took a nervous glance at her face. To be honest, if I ignored everything else, her sleeping face was actually pretty cute. It reminded me of when we first met, that gentle smile she'd had. I obviously didn't know what Yua had been thinking back then, nor that she seen me as a murderer. If anything, I saw her as an enemy, as one of Shogun's underlings. But it was her fault for making me think that. She was the one who deceived me, who betrayed me. So if I wanted to degrade her and turn her into my sex slave, this bitch had no right to complain. I peeked at Yua's sleeping face once more. Her eyelids twitched erratically, and her face contorted in painful expression. Then from the corner of her eye, a single tear ran down her cheek. Could it she be having a nightmare about her dead sister?
タッキー、調教師ないの？
After seeing her shed a tear like that, I already lost the drive.
監禁されて禁縛されてるのに？タッキーって聖人君子だね。優しい、優しすぎる。そこはタッキーのいいところだけど、時と場合によるよ。
That's not what I meant. Of course I wasn't gonna forgive you that easily. I just didn't have the strength to be angry with her, nor to even resist at all. It was all gone, completely sapped. Was it because of the huge release in tension? Or could it have been because she told me about her little sister, Emoto? It didn't really feel like Yua wanted to hurt me or anything, weird as that might sound. Suddenly I was struck with an intense drowsiness, and so I surrendered my body to the feeling, allowing myself to forget, if only for a moment, the pain my bound wrists were being tortured by. I'll think of a way out of this later. As soon as I woke up, I knew something was off. Like, something was missing. Still half asleep, I looked around my room. I tried to stand up, but the rope coiled around my wrist dug deep, and the sheer pain stopped me in my tracks. The pain immediately reminded me that I was tied up, and the one that had done so was Yua. Oh, Yua wasn't here. So that's what felt off. I was the only one in the room. Where had she gone? Had she gone to make food or use the bathroom? I didn't know how many days had been since Yua locked me in here, but what I did know was that neither of us had been to school the entire time. We only went outside to use the bathroom or cook something. I wasn't even allowed to take a shower. I let out a heavy sigh. Yua could come back at any minute now, and when she did, she'd start watching me all over again. Had Yua always been this stubborn? Or was it the hatred and regret she felt from her sister's death that made her start acting like this? Regardless, how could I make her understand that I wasn't Shogun? Maybe I could show her the messages Shogun had sent me, and they were still on my PC anyway. But let's be honest, we were long past that. Yua was fully devoted to the delusional bullshit she'd come up with. I doubt she'll believe me, even if I did show them to her. I needed something more concrete, something to convince her that Shogun and I were completely different people. If only he would just show up here, then there'll be no denying it. That'll kind of suck for me if that happened, though. I didn't want him anywhere near me. Besides, if he came to my base, it'll probably be to kill me.
ねえねえ、タッキー、逃げた方がいいよ。あたし、あんな思い込み激しいストーカー女に、これ以上タッキーがいじめられるのを見たくないもん。
Thank you, Seira. But I can't run. I can't untie myself on my own. I'd obviously already made my fair share of attempts to escape, but my struggle had proved futile. Yua's knots were tight, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't even get them to bulge.
あたしが3次元になれたら、今すぐタッキーを助けに行くのにな。
I don't know. As great as escaping sounds on paper, Seira, I think just doing whatever she says, like I've been doing, is the far safer option. If I tried to escape and failed, it could make Yua go berserk. Whenever Yua lost her temper, it was crazy how scary she got. So I was gonna do everything I could not to provoke her.
自分の命を守るために一番いい方法をちゃんと考えてるんだね。すごいよ、タッキー。だけどあたしさ、これ以上タッキーとあの女が同じ部屋にいるのは嫌だな。
As much as I hated to admit it, As long as I was tied up, I was entirely dependent on Yua to survive. Luckily, she hadn't been dialing at me at all yet. She even cooked for me and let me use the bathroom whenever I asked. She was still treating me like a human being. And I was sure that once she finally understood that no matter how long she waited, Shogun wouldn't come out, she'd let me go. Hell, even better, I was sure she'd beg me for forgiveness. Of course, I made her get down on her knees, hands and knees, and or else, what would be the point? And while we're at it, I could accidentally grab her tits too. Fuck, man. This guy is don't push it, man. Anyway, and then it'll be all forgiven. Yua could go back to her own life. I could go on mine. She'll never see me again. I'll never see her again. So at the very least, the Yua threat would disappear completely. Or if I was very lucky, there was even a chance she would have a change in heart and end up joining my party. Shogun was still real and a very much a problem. So Yua could step up and replace Rumi as my protector. It'd be better than nothing. Oh, he's getting Stockholm syndrome. Nice. We even had some common ground. Above all else, Yua resented the new gen culprit, and therefore Shogun. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Yua's interest in mine coincided.
僕って頭良くね天才じゃね
To be honest.
タッキーってば天才。私さ、ますますタッキーのこと好きになっちゃった。
And so I decided to ride the storm out. He went full schizo. He also went full schizo. Okay. Where the hell was she? Yua still hadn't shown any signs of coming back. It'd been a good while since she left too. I knew for a fact at least a few hours had passed. Probably. Where in the world had she gone? Sure as hell it wasn't the toilet. I could also rule out she'd been grabbing dinner, since there was no way it would have taken this long. Every time she'd gone out to buy us food, she just went to the nearest supermarket and came back shortly after. So where was she? Had she gone to school? I didn't even know what time it was right now, but if it was around noon, then it was certainly a possibility. If I could have just looked at the minimum attendance chart, then I would have been able to know what day it was instantly. It would have told me a lot, really. For example, if Yua had kept me locked up for 3 days straight, and the first day had been Friday, that would explain why why she had been able to stay here and not go to school. Because it had been the weekend. In other words, today was Monday, and Yua had to gone to school. That had to be it. It had to. What day had it been when Yua broke into my room again? My consciousness was already foggy as hell, so I couldn't remember clearly. But what if she hadn't gone to school? What if she'd gone back home, for example? These days, every slut in high school would stay out overnight without asking their parents, but Yua wasn't like that. Even if she had gotten permission, staying over at my place for who knows how many nights would have definitely made her parents worry. So knowing that she'd gone back home in order to pacify them, probably. That made a lot of sense, actually. Well, regardless of where she'd gone off, she had to come back eventually. So it'll be in my best interest to stay put and conserve my energy. Letting out a small sigh, I closed my eyes. Might as well get some sleep. I couldn't sleep. I closed my eyes and tried my hardest to doze off for hours on end, but I just couldn't manage to. I ended up staring at the door, torturing myself over whether or not Yua would come back. There was a bit of a windstorm going on outside, so the door rattled faintly every once in a while. Whenever it did, I would immediately open my eyes thinking Yua had come back. But no matter how many times I thought that she still hadn't, I was left all alone in this container, tied up like an animal. Since she was taking her sweet time, I decided I might as well try to break out of the restraints of my wrists. The rope that bound me on the leg was made of nylon, which is why I thought that maybe enough force I could break free. And so I poured all my strength into my arms. But it was no use. The rope didn't even budge. Or maybe I was just too weak. After all, I was a pretty big weakling in general. An otaku freak that did nothing but play video and surf the web all day long. There was no way I could have broken that cord like some kind of movie protagonist. Steering the cord with just arm strength alone was obviously impossible, so I tried to think of some other way. Obviously, it would have been easy if I had a knife or something, but unfortunately, I had no such luck. The only things I could see around me were magazines, manga, CD, empty box lunches, that kind of stuff.
ダメだ。
I was hopeless. I couldn't even snap a single piece of nylon string on my own.
ユアは戻ってくるよね。
I unintentionally voiced those thoughts out loud, meaning I was basically talking to myself.
ねえねえタッキー、もしかしてさ、見捨てられたんじゃない？
Abandoned me? As if Yua had left me here to rot? As in, she wasn't planning on coming back? If that was all true, I was screwed. Surely she hadn't just tied me up and expected me to survive on my own, right? If you're gonna lock someone up, then you should realize you are responsible for them until you let them go. Come on, that was just common sense. No, she couldn't have abandoned me. I was overthinking it. Yua was definitely going to come back. She still hadn't uncovered Shogun's true identity, so surely she wouldn't give up yet. Yua would never abandon me. This is fine.
知ってる？そういうのってさ、ストックホルム症候群って言うんよ。
Yeah, I knew it. He was having Stockholm syndrome. Yes, I obviously have known what Stockholm syndrome is. You're wrong. This isn't like that. My brain isn't dependent on you or anything. As if I would ever warm up to that mental case, let alone fall for her.
僕もつい最近、ナナミのことがあったから、ユアの気持ちはわからなくはないとかって脳内で妄想してなかったっけ？
Was I lying to myself? Was I just forcing myself to believe that I could trust Yua? Maybe I was a Stockholm syndrome. Maybe I was. Stockholm syndrome was a psychological phenomenon in which people deceive their own selves for the sake of survival. But what else could I do in this situation? I had no choice. I had to rely on Yua. Rumi had backed out, and the enemy hadn't come to check me for a long time now. My parents let me know when they were worried about me via anatomy, but they never actually checked on me personally. And the only other person that I knew I lived in this container was Yua, which meant the other person I could rely on was also Yua. Therefore, I had to lie to myself. It was the only way I could survive. I didn't want to die. I didn't want Yua to mistreat me. I didn't have the courage to resist her using force. So that was why I decided to just submit. I wouldn't resist, and then, if I waited long enough, eventually she'll understand. That was the only way an otaku freak like me would be able to survive. I would trust in Yua. I would trust in her by lying to myself. And then, if I make it out of this without anyone, and I'll make it out of this without anyone getting hurt.
あんなストーカーメガネ女を信じちゃダメだよ。タッキー、ゆとりすぎ。
For the first time in my life, I completely ignored what Seiratan had to say. So please, come back soon, Yua. You're coming back, right? And then it happened. Without warning, the door burst open, and it caught me completely by surprise. I immediately froze. I could finally see outside. The sky was dyed orange by the setting sun, and there, obstructing my view of it, was Yua. I was relieved from the bottom of my heart to see her there. Realizing that I hadn't been abandoned nearly made me tears of joy. I was a little disgusted with how easily I've been tamed, but my disgust was immediately overshadowed by the intense feeling of relief.
おかえり。
I had no one else, so I was forced to be dependent on her. That's why something so fucking stupid had somehow come out of my mouth. But
あなた邪魔だわ西条くん
oh no 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 no! Yua quickly walked over to me, crouched down to meet me at eye level, and then she grabbed my hair and yanked on it hard.
邪魔なのあなたがいなければ将軍は出てくるはずなのになんでいるの自重してよ少し引っ込んでよあなたと話しても意味ないの私はあなたと話してんじゃない
my god.
出して将軍を出しなさいよ。
Yo was acting weird. Was she getting impatient because Shogun wouldn't come out? Did that mean she was going to resort to more drastic measures? That wasn't what I planned. I believed in her. I trusted that she wouldn't go berserk on me. Was she about to betray me again? Who am I kidding? I'm the only one who feels betrayed. I was forced to face reality. I had decided to place my trust in you all on my own. She had never asked me to, not once. Had I been naive? It was because I was an otaku freak and shut in too, wasn't it? I knew pretty much nothing about human interaction because of those things. So tricking me was like taking candy from a baby. If I was right about this, then I've been right about everything. Nothing good can come from 3D. It was time for me to become a real shut-in, but this time I locked myself in the 2D world.
見て
You know I trust something in front of my face. It was the notebook of some kind.
妹の日記です。家に戻って取ってきたんです。これを読んであなたは知るべきです。妹はミヤちゃん、集団ライブが起きるもっと前からあなたに将軍に狙われていたんです。
Ever since before?
ストーカーされていたんですよ。だから集団ライブ5人を殺すのが目的だったんじゃない。他の4人は巻き添え。狙いはミヤちゃん一人だった。そうでしょう。
Oh no, 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 no.
そうよね、将軍。答えて。出てきて答えなさい。
Yua's voice was getting more and more hysterical. My fear of her had come back full force. My heart was beating out of my chest. My entire body trembled. But even so, I still couldn't accept what Yua was accusing me of. It was just a bunch of delusions she'd come up with. Nothing but pure falsehoods. I had never even met Yua's sister. I desperately shook my head from side to side, but she grabbed my hair so tight the pain kept me from moving very much.
出てこないつもりですか。
Yua's face drew even closer, close enough to whisper in my ear. And then she brought the diary even closer to my face. Yua's diary. I love that.
ミヤちゃんの苦しみを見なさい。
She forced me to look up. Then while still holding the diary with one hand, Yua started desperately turning the pages. What I saw written there sent a chill down my spine. Sonome Dare no me. What is this? What the hell is this?
日記の最後のページ。ミヤの最後に書き残したその誰の日付は9月6日集団ライブでミヤが殺された前日です。
将軍だ。あいつに思考盗撮されてたんだ。
思考盗撮って何？違うでしょ。違う。ストーカーされていたんです。将軍に、あなたに。
僕は将軍じゃ。
あなたの中にいる将軍にです。
だから言ってるじゃないか。将軍は他にいるんだ。
将軍は西条匠です。言い逃れしないで。その目誰なのというあなたが昔書いた作文がその証拠です。他にもいくつもの状況証拠がある。あなたしか考えられないの。考えられないのよ。あなたじゃなきゃおかしい。妹はあなたに殺された。
Man, this full schizo experience. That's not true. That's not true at all. I don't sleepwalk, and I don't have multiple personalities either. Shogun does exist, but he isn't me. He's someone else, I swear.
どう思う？この日記を見てどう思うの？ミヤを追い詰めて殺して満足？こんな日記を書かせるぐらい追い詰めて満足？どうしてミヤにこんなひどいことをしたの？
Here we go. The schizo ramblings.
どうしてミヤを殺したの？どうして？
いや、間違ってる。
Everything you say is wrong.
間違ってるのはあなたよ。あなたは人を殺した。殺したじゃない。人殺し。
だって の日記はユアの日記じゃないか。
Shit, that's where it actually hit her schizo brain. That this is actually Mia.
何です？
Yua looked puzzled. It stuck out to me like a sore thumb ever since I first seen it. What was written on the front cover? Yua's diary. Wait a second. Isn't she Yua? Then who was phone? Yua's diary. At first I thought I was just mistaken or something, but Yua had said exactly whose diary she thought it was.
妹の日記です。
But if it was her sister's diary, shouldn't it have said Mia's diary?
これはユアの日記だ。表紙にそう書いてある。
何言ってるの？
Yua deliberately avoided looking at the front cover.
これはミヤちゃんのよ。死んだミヤちゃんの日記。あなたに殺されたミヤちゃんの。ミヤちゃんのなのよ。ミヤちゃんが書いた。死ぬ前に書いたの。
だったら表紙を見てよ。
Terrified, I nervously pointed to the notebook. Without showing a hint of hesitation, Yua closed it and took a look at the cover. And when she did, she turned back toward me and said,
やっぱりミヤちゃんの日記だわ。
"Oh no, 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 no!" Huh? She must have seen it just now. There's no way she hadn't. Yua's diary was written in a bright red marker. So how had she...
これはミヤちゃんが書いた日記。私を騙そうとしたの。騙されるわけないでしょ。私はミヤちゃんとずっと一緒に育ってきたんだから。生まれてからずっと一緒だったんだから。あなたなんかよりずっと、私の方がミヤちゃんのことを知ってるの。
ユアには見えないの。はっきり書いてあるじゃないか。それはユアの日記。
Yua's hands suddenly shot up to her temples. Her face was wrapped in pain. Oh man, she deluded herself to be Yua. Nice.
違う。この日記は私じゃなくて、ミヤちゃんが、私。西条くんに自覚があるはずないから。あなたは DID 多重人格なんです。
君は誰だ？
私はユア。私は
Could it be that I'd never been the one with DID? It had been Yua all along? Oh my god! Well, we already know, but I love this moment.
楠木ミヤなんて実在するの？
Had the police ever officially announced the identities of the group time victims? Since she was a minor, she could have just called her girl A or something, right? Or
ユアに双子の妹なんて本当にいたの？
well, it was certainly possible that someone named Kusunoki Miya had existed and had died in the group dive. It was also possible that they were completely unrelated to Kusunoki Yua, the person standing in front of me right now. They could have simply been someone with an extremely similar name.
いるわ。
Suddenly, Yua wrapped her hands around my neck. Her fingers were so slender yet harbored a terrifying amount of strength with them. I couldn't
い
breathe.
たわよ。ミヤちゃんは確かにいた。はっきり覚えてるもの。
証明できるの？
Yua's grasp weakened.
自分は DID じゃないって証明できるの？
I like how Takumi just has used a trap card against her. It reversed. It literally reversed her direction, man. She was getting she was getting fucked herself.
楠木宮じゃないって証明できるの？
I, for one, couldn't prove that I wasn't my alter ego. After all, the only way to prove that I wasn't Shogun would have been for him to show up next to me.
できるわ。
Yua took her hands off my neck. She let the notebook fall to the floor.
みやちゃんにはほくろがあった。
Yua slowly began to remove her uniform's top.
左胸の下、そこにほくろがあった。私にはないほくろ。
What? You want me to look at your breasts? What? She unbuttoned her blouse one button at a time, her hands trembling impatiently as she did. But she didn't stop there. She went on to remove her bra too. Her fairly voluptuous breast was covered only by her hands. She fumbled around, searching for a certain spot on her skin. I searched too with my eyes. And just under her left breast was a mole.
ある。
あるよ。
どうして？
Oh no, 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 no!
私には
We're gonna go full schedule build again!
なのに。私。誰？
Yua's face grew pale as a ghost, and her lips trembled in fear. Her eyes swam in place, gazing into the abyss as she wrapped her arms around herself. She didn't even care that she was still half naked.
私はユア。私はずっといい子で、ミヤちゃんはずっと悪い子で、私はずっといい子になりたくて、ミヤちゃんはユアちゃんが大好きで、ユアちゃんはミヤちゃんが心配で。
Her ramblings gradually turned even more incoherent. I was pretty freaked out. She was having a schedule episode there. But I knew I couldn't just abandon her and make a run for it. I knew full well what mental state she was in, because I, until a moment ago, had been in the same exact one. From the moment Yua had told me I had DID, I've been suffering from non-stop anxiety, instability, so I really didn't understand. I knew what it was like to feel like your entire existence was one step away from crumbling to dust. I didn't know if she was suffering from DID or if it was something else entirely. But what I did know was that there was something wrong with her, and there always had been. I knew people could be two-faced, but she was far, far too good at it. It was still hard to believe that she'd been acting when we first met. The difference between her back then and her when she snapped was like night and day. So much so that it didn't even feel like the same person.
ユアは DID なんじゃ。
違う。ちゃんといた。ちゃんといたの。ミヤちゃんはちゃんといた。
Still covering her breast with one arm, Yua fished for something on top she'd just taken off. She took out her phone, hit a few buttons, and just showed it to
見
me.
て。ここにいるでしょ。私たちがいるでしょ。
あ、
She did exist. There was definitely two people on the screen there, and the image didn't look edited either. The two looked eerily similar in the picture. Apparently they were twins. The only difference was the one that had glasses and the other didn't. Even their hairstyle was the same.
私はここにいる。
君はどっちなんだ？
私は
She pointed to the one on the left. Oh, yeah, she is Mia. Right at that moment, the floor started shaking violently. An earthquake? It's even bigger than the last. Oh man, they're gonna have the third melt already? I was struck with the violent ringing in my ears. It was so intensely shrill, resonant sound. My head felt like it was about to burst open. Yua grabbed her head and fell to her knees. I wanted to do the same, but my hands were tied up, so I couldn't. It felt like my ears were being pierced by thousands upon thousands of needles. And then Oh, the third melt already happened. Remy didn't even come back. I was hit by an enormous impact, and a blinding light dyed my vision completely white.
あの日、私たちは入れ替わった。
At the Shibuya MACD, a large wave of students arrived as soon as evening hit. I could hear the high-pitched voices of high school girls joyfully chatting away with one another. I took another moment to look out the window, and then I took out my phone. It was now 5:02 on September 7th, 2 minutes past the time she was supposed to be here. I took a bite out of my chicken sandwich, feeling a little bit annoyed.
ごめん、みやちゃん。待たせちゃった？
Yua appeared, tray in hand, and sat down in front of me. I let out a small sigh.
うん、待った。5分くらいおまけしてほしいな。あ、みやちゃんもチキンバーガー？私もだよ。
She pointed to the chicken sandwich on her tray. The two of us were twins, so it was only natural that we'd have the same preferences. She really didn't need to point out every little time that we had something in common, but she happily did so.
みやちゃんとこうして渋谷で会うのって初めてだよね。
I didn't go to school in Shibuya. The two of us saw each other at home all the time, so we just didn't have many reasons or opportunities to meet up in Shibuya. That was all there was to it.
私にお願いしたいことって何？私にできることなら何でも言ってね。
I took the last bite of my chicken sandwich, sipped some of my iced tea, then I leaned toward Yua-chan.
実はこれから人と会うんだけど、彼氏？そんなんじゃない。今まで一度も会ったことない人たち。タッチって何人？4人かな。どういう関係なの？ネットで知り合った人。別にやましい関係とかじゃないから。アニメのファンサイトみたいな掲示板があるんだけど、そこで。へえ、私インターネットなんて全くやらないからよくわからないけど、そうやってネットで知り合うことってよくあるの？まあね。でもオフ会は私も初めてで。
You know what? I think I like Mia better. I like her Mia personality.
みやちゃん人見知りだもんね。人見知りじゃない。人に合わすのが苦手なだけ。そういうことにしておいてあげる。で、大丈夫なの？初めての人たち相手にうまく話せそう？本当は会おうと思ってたんだけど、今になってやっぱり怖くなっちゃったんだ。めんどくさくなっただけ。でもドタキャンするのも悪いし、だから私が代わりに行けばいいのね。
Yua-chan was really perceptive. She understood what I was trying to say before even I finished my sentence. Usually that was more annoying than it was helpful, but this time I was glad I didn't have to explain everything.
そういうこと。お願いしていい？別にいいけど、みやちゃんはそれでいいの？友達を作れるチャンスなのに。そんな小学生みたいな扱いしないでよ。別に友達を作りたいわけじゃないし。もうみやちゃんは本当に意地っ張りなんだから。言ってくれる？わかった。私は楠木みやになりきればいいのよね。そこまでしなくてもいいけど。どうせならとことんやった方が面白いじゃない。そうだ、制服も入れ替えようよ。なんでそんなにはしゃいでるの？みやちゃんから頼み事されるなんてめったにないでしょ。だから嬉しいの。ゆあちゃん、バカみたい。どうせバカなお姉さんですよーだ。ほら、そうと決まれば着替えちゃおうよ。
Oh, she was a short skirt girl at one point. Now she became a long skirt girl. Well, you know, there's some charm to this. Yua-chan forcefully pulled me by the hand. We went into the private bathroom, and after a couple of minutes, we swapped all clothing and personal effects.
みやちゃん、水泳の制服似合うね。 きっとお父さんやお母さんでもどっちがどっちなのか見分けつかないよ。あ、でもメガネかけてたら一発でバレちゃうかな。これも外して行くのはちょっと難しいかも。何も見えなくなっちゃう。初対面の相手なんだからここまでしなくてもよかったのに。もうまだ言ってるし、待ち合わせの時間そろそろなんでしょ。それまで打ち合わせしておこうよ。私アニメのことちっともわからないけど、何を話せばいいの？適当に相槌打ってればいいよ。どうせ一回こっきりしか会わない人たちなんだし。そんなことないよ。この出会いを通してお友達付き合いすることになるかもしれないでしょ。もしかしたら彼氏もできちゃうかも。興味ない。あるくせに。なかったら会う約束なんてしないもの。うるさいな。
So cute.
頑張って。楠木美也はとっても
I want to see more of her Mia personality, man.
本当にそ
Oops.
ういうのはいいってば。
If she did that, it would be even harder for me to go the second time. I just wasn't as sociable as she was.
それじゃ行ってくるね。よろしく。そこまで頑張らなくていいから。はいはい。じゃあね、みやちゃん。
Yu-chan smiled and waved goodbye, wearing my uniform holding my bag, and then she disappeared into the crowds of Shibuya, as none other than Kusunoki Miya. That had been the last time I ever seen Yua-chan. I had then gone home, waited for her to come back, only to see the case on the news. When I came to, my headache was so bad it felt like it was splitting in two. The first thing I realized was that I was pinned under my bed. The second was that the bed had fallen on top of me. Not only was my head about to burst from pain, but my back was under the weight of the bed. The only thing I could move were my eyes, which allowed me to witness the sheer devastation of my room. Yua was slumped against the wall, staring off in the daze. She had been half naked before the earthquake, but it seemed like she put her clothes back on. Before, she had been completely topless, while also keeping her glasses on, which had honestly brought some life back into me. But now her glasses had fallen to her feet. The lenses were cracked.
助けて。紐ほどいてよ。
It took nearly everything in me, but I managed to fight through the headache and call out to Yua. And with the most empty eyes, she looked at me.
思い出したの。
Literally, who cares? I don't give a shit about what you remember. Just untie me already. I can't move under this thing.
思い出したのよ。
Yua slowly got up and easily untied the night knot, almost too easily. In fact, considering how dark it was and how she wasn't wearing her glasses, finally, a free man, I managed to slip out under the bed. But that was about as far as I went. My head felt as if it was being cracked open, just like it had during the previous earthquake. Even standing up felt impossible, so I endured the pain in all fours.
ゆあちゃんだったのよ。
Yu was once again mumbling something in a low voice.
集団ダイブで死んだのはミヤじゃない。ゆあちゃんだった。
ゆあ、何を。
私はゆあじゃない。
A really smile spread across Yua's lips.
私はミヤよ。自分をゆあちゃんだって思い込んでただけ。あの日私たちは入れ替わったの。それでゆあちゃんは死んだ。本当は私が死ぬはずだったのに。
Survivor's guilt. Okay. Suddenly, the expression in Yua's face disappeared, complementing the empty eyes that she had yet to leave her. And then she extended her hand toward me.
西条くん、もう将軍のことなんてどうでもよくなっちゃった。結局ゆあちゃんは私が死なせたようなものだから。ねえ、一緒に来てほしい。
どこへ？
ゆあちゃんが死んだ場所。一緒に来てくれるだけでいい。お願い。
I didn't know why exactly she was asking me this, but I had an idea. An idea soon became a realization. Yua, no Mia, was planning to die. I had no idea whether or not I should stop her. It was probably too late for me to say anything that might reach her. And so I took Mia's hand and went to pull myself up. Remember, this is just after third melt, so well, I'm pretty sure Ayase is still dead. Ayase is dead here. Or not. I don't know. Because Senna is probably destroyed. Her mind's destroyed. I don't know what happened to Remy and Nanami at this point. I felt a stabbing pain in my head. I pictured my eyes being dried a scarlet red. The throbbing pulsation of blood vessels in my my head reverberated throughout my entire body. It hurt too much to move. I didn't have the strength.
歩ける？
Mia supported my body with her shoulder.
歩いてくれないと困るわ。一緒に来てほしいの。私を助けると思って。お願い。
So she's having survivor's guilt, I guess. With my body supported by Mia, the two of us began walking in the direction of Shibuya. Shibuya transformed into a city of death. Everywhere you looked, corpses were strewn across the ground. Some were covered in blood, some of their limbs severed, and some of their heads crushed. Not even a shred of human dignity could be seen in the absolute hellscape spread out before us. Not a single glimmer of the city's former glory remained. The only things it held now were death, ash, and despair, nothing more. Huge cracks tore through the roads, large scars indicative of how it could all come crashing down at any moment. Huge chunks of debris had fallen from the crumbling buildings, blocking our way. It was difficult to even walk in a straight line. But none of that was enough to make us lose focus of our goal. Mia and I marched on, completely disregarding the cries for help around us. Our destination was the building towering above in the distance, Cornelius Tower. The tower was still standing. The outer walls were crumbling in certain spots, but the structure itself had more or less tanked the earthquake. It still stood straight and tall. As far as we could tell from the outside, it seemed that lights were off on every floor. Maybe everyone had evacuated, leaving the building vacant and abandoned. Naturally, the lobby was completely empty. There didn't seem to be any electricity either, so the elevator didn't work. Our only option to get to the rooftop would be the emergency stairs. When the details behind the group dive case had appeared online, I had done a little digging into the building. Cornelius Tower stood 184 meters tall, with 41 floors above the ground. There was absolutely no way I could climb that many floors, not when I couldn't even walk straight with this headache. And yet Mia kept on supporting me, leaning on her to climb the stairs step by step, sweat dripping down on our foreheads.
お父さんとお母さんは、私が自分のことをユアちゃんだって言い出して、私をユアとして扱って、ミアが死んだことにしたのかも。
She was talking to herself. I listened along in silence. Well, she probably didn't need me to listen. She was just talking aloud, and I just happened to be there.
昔からそうだった。私は生意気な娘だったから。両親はいつも私を腫れ物にでも触るかのように扱ったわ。ミアを死んだことにするなんてね。親はユアちゃんよりミアに死んでほしかったのかもしれない。それも全部私のせいだけど。自分がユアちゃんだと思い込んだ私のせいよ。ユアちゃんが死んだみたいに私も死ねばいいのよ。
ユアはどんな人だったの？
憧れだった。羨ましかった。たまにイラついたりしたけど嫌いじゃなかった。むしろ大好きだった。ユアちゃんのこと大好きだった。私のことを分かってくれるたった一人の かけがえのない人だったもの。ゆあちゃんが笑顔でいてくれれば、私はどんなに辛いことがあっても嬉しかった。いつも私のこと心配してくれたわ。心配させてるのが申し訳なくて、私はつい冷たく接してた。それなのに、いつも優しくて。ゆあちゃん。
Mia kept climbing the stairs, tears gently streaming down her face. Were there tears of regret, tears of sorrow, or tears of guilt? That I couldn't tell. The wind was stronger than I thought it would be on the helipad. A panorama of Shibuya's nightscape spread out right before our eyes, but now its former brilliance was nowhere to be found. The city had been fully engulfed in darkness. One could barely make out the landmarks like Tokyo Tower, Roppongi built hills. I'm sure is Roppongi Hills like a trademark name or something, or other buildings situated in Shinjuku in the distance. So yeah, maybe I'm guessing Roppongi Hills is a brand name. Unlike Tokyo Tower, which is a public area, public place. The Shibuya beneath our feet was veiled in complete utter silence. There was very little light, allowing complete reign over the ruined city. If it were noon, then Shibuya's new form would be nothing less than stupefying.
西条くん、もしよかったら。
Mia gently let me go, retracting the arm that had been supporting me. I immediately sank down to the ground, not a single ounce of energy left in my legs.
一緒に飛んでくれない？
Why? Why would you? What? No. What? Mia stared. What? Stared deep into the dark night. Fierce gusts of wind sent her long hair fluttering in the sky, hiding her expression from the view. That was when I realized Mia had come here to jump, to follow in her sister's footsteps. With that in mind, my answer was clear.
やだね。僕は死にたくない。なんで僕を監禁した女と心中しなくちゃいけないんだ。
そう言うと思った。
One step at a time, Mia walked toward the edge of the heliport, facing the strong winds head on.
そうそう。西条くんと予約しに行ったセイラちゃんのフィギュア。
Suddenly, she stopped and turned around.
ちゃんと買ったのよ。とても可愛くてセクシーだね。すっかり気に入っちゃって、私の部屋の机の上に飾ってあるの。
A transient smile spread over Mia's lips. Of all times for her to have said that, why now?
そんなこと言っても、僕は君に同情しない。
同情なんて求めてないわ。それじゃあ、さよなら、西条くん。私を殺した人、私もゆあちゃんのところに行くね。
What Nishijo-kun had just said was very reasonable. It was strange, though. It had made me feel lonely. There was this heart-rending pain in my chest. In the end, I had never been afforded the opportunity to confirm whether or not he was Shogun. Maybe he had been telling the truth, and I was the one who got it all wrong. But even if I wasn't wrong, there was no point in holding a grudge against him now. If only I hadn't asked Yuo-chan switch places with me back then. If only I had just gone to the offline meet myself, then Yua would still be alive. Yua-chan hadn't deserved to die. She had so many friends. Our parents had loved her more than anything. She had been the smartest, most beautiful girl I ever met. And yet she had died anyway. Kusunoki Yua had died anyway. And when she had, Kusunoki Mia had disappeared along with her. She'd vanished into thin air, becoming a ghost. That was the choice I had made back then. I could no longer tell whether I was alive or dead. All I knew was that Yua-chan wasn't here anymore, so I'd rather be dead. I stood at the edge of the helipad, where Yua-chan and the other four had jumped off that night. Looking down made me feel dizzy. The whole nightscape was pitch black. All the lights in the city had gone out. And yet, even in the darkness, I could still tell just how high up I really was. I wondered how Yua Chen had felt when she jumped off from here. She had probably been terrified. I'm sorry, Yua Chen. I'm sorry you had to go through something so terrifying because of me. I'll be going too very soon. I will take the pain you endured, the pain that I alone was supposed to feel, and engrave it onto my body, Yua Chan. I took a deep breath. My heart and mind were at peace. I wasn't afraid of dying. I spread my wings, my arms lay in the empty air, I closed my eyes, and then a step forward into the bottomless abyss before me. And with nothing there to support me anymore, I fell. My whole world turned upside down. There was nothing left to chain me back. Even though I was in a free fall, it almost felt like I was floating amid the rumbling of the wind. The ground was rushing toward me, the very same asphalt that Yua Chan had crashed into 2 months ago. That ardent tan that crushed her bones, ruptured her organs, and sprayed her blood in green matter across itself. I don't want to die. Just a moment ago, I had been afraid to die, but the second I had lost control of my body, I've been overcome with a tremendous sense of dread. I don't want to die. Even if Yua Chen had died, I still wanted to live. This was my survival instinct taking over. I screamed. I screamed from the bottom of my soul. I desperately reached out my hand to the distant night sky above me. I knew there was no one that could grab onto it, but I reached out all the same. There was no end to my screams. I pleaded. I don't want to die. But no one heard me. Nobody grabbed my hand. I simply fell with the earth coming closer and closer. Rip. I had felt my body shattered into a million pieces, but that feeling had disappeared soon after. Wait, what the fuck? Oh! He gave her a delusion or something? Oh my god. That makes sense. He gave her a delusion. Nice. When I came to, I found myself collapsed on the roof of Cornelius Tower. Nishijo-kun was in front of me. He still wasn't looking at me, but he was reaching his hand out ever so. Even so. Oh, he gave her a delusion. I had definitely jumped, no doubt about it. I had definitely taken the nearly 180-meter dive and smashed right into the ground. But now I just sat there, staring at Nishijo-kun's hand, utterly dumbfounded. I even forgot to wipe away the tears streaming down my face.
気が済んだ。
Nishijo-kun's words were blunt and curt.
君に死なれるのは困るんだ。まるで僕が突き落としたみたいじゃないか。僕は殺人犯扱いされたくないね。
私落ちたのに自分で飛び降りたのに。
妄想でも見てたんじゃない。
A delusion? You're telling me all those sensations, all that pain was just a delusion? That's impossible. It felt so real.
西条くん、ゆあちゃんはあんな痛い思いをして死んだんだね。なのに私、ゆあちゃんと同じ痛みを味わおうとしたのに、私は死にたくないって思っちゃったの。本来死ぬのは私だったのに、死にたくないって。もう飛べない。あの痛みを知ってしまったら、もう怖くて飛べない。私どうすればいいのか。
今ので君は一度死んだ。
ええ。
ユアの痛みを知ったならもうそれでいいじゃないか。これからはもう一度楠木宮として一から生きていけばいいと思う。
Whoa. Whoa! Takumi being a Chad right now. Nice.
ユアの
Moral Chad.
ありがとう
I reached for the hand he extended out to me and took it. It was so very, very warm. I could feel his body heat through this palm. A warmth so comforting I felt my hands stop shaking. Okay, guys. Mia's round, I guess. I'll be right back. What the hell?
もう一度見たくて瞳を閉じたの白い花瓶を飾る顔を見せない姿私と似ていたからいつまでも抱きしめていた
You know what? I don't know. It's a kind of ending that's I guess that was just out to explain the whole thing about Yua and Yua being actually Mia. Let's see how this works out for the true ending. I don't know. All I know is it was like, why was she so dedicated? The simple answer was she was Mia all this time. She had survivor's guilt, and you know, she felt responsible, so she wanted to investigate who actually killed Yua. You know what? Yeah. Yua slash Mia really. I don't know. Early in the game, she's a little compelling because she's the first girl you meet, and who, except for Nanami, excluding Nanami, she's the first girl you meet, and she goes like, she was the first, one of the first. She does like paranoia, creepy, all that sort of thing. She goes full demp on you. Then she disappears for more than half, like more than half of like the story. Then reappears in the last few chapters, and somehow she gets a disordo. That happens. Now you also find out that she's actually Mia, and a lot of big question marks. I don't know. She feels like a kind of weird jumbled mess of a character. Like I guess she was consistently She was consistent on being a creepy person and all that shit. Although I felt like they overused that to a degree as a crutch on her route, but I guess that was how. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is weird. Like the chapter only exists to be like to tell you what the hell was Mia's motivations, and there was this thing about Mia, and I'm like, okay. I mean, compared to Nanami, like Nanami, Nanami is like a straight up, like you already know Nanami had those feelings about Takumi, and the only way he would have gone wrong was like instead of seeing rather than dealing with Nanami, the real Nanami, who was a person who felt pain and all, he rather develop his own delusion of like your archetypal Emoto arrogant character version of Nanami, man. And yeah, that was that was a really messed up ending. Here it was like, okay, I know it's Mia now. Okay, I get it. She was motivated because she had survivor's guilt. It didn't have the same draw as Nanami's ending route. The feeling you got from going through Nanami's route, which was like really sad because he was more than happy to indulge in his delusion that his actual sister died, and you know he was more than willing to ignore it, and that felt really sad. Here it was like, okay, I know she's Mia. Okay, whatever. You know what? I can imagine the other routes are much more dangerous. Who's next anyway? I'll do that. Unfortunately, I have to do that tomorrow. I have to go to sleep. It's 11:25, and I have a couple of things to worry about. But where's my tab on like? Yeah, before I go to sleep, I actually gonna watch the first episode of Robotic Notes, the anime, just so I could like be. I'm priming up for like Robotic Notes. Well, I'm thinking about whether Robotic Notes are like Chaos Child. There's also another visual novel I was looking into, but yeah, it may happen in between of Robotic Child. It may happen after all the side visual novels. I have a feeling I want to do it before I move to Robotic Child and Chaos Child. Anyway, yeah, that is Yua's route. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next route tomorrow. Oh, maybe I could just search. Okay. So we're done with Yua. So we're gonna do Ayase tomorrow. Oh shit, Ayase. That's gonna be a special case. Holy shit, Ayase. Ayase's route. We already went full schizo with Yua's route. I don't know how the fuck we're gonna go with Ayase's route. There's gonna be a lot of fun shit here. Oh, actually, I do kind of like the dready stuff about like the early dready stuff. The early dready stuff. But like the ending, I hate to say it because it sounds like I'm making a pun, but I'm gonna say it. It doesn't land. That's better. Well, Mia didn't land. She thought it would have landed, but it didn't. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow on Ayase's route. We might do Ayase and Kozoe tomorrow. Then on Saturday, Senna, Rimi, and Blue Sky. Yeah. I'll see you guys.